What's up, everybody? Welcome to PixelPlay Sidequest, your bonus content here on YouTube. I am Adam, aka CS Radical, joined by Jin and Chris. Kaylan, we actually haven't recorded the main show yet because he's running a little bit late, so we're going to do this ahead of time. And because he's not here, what better way to bring you back into the fold, Chris, by talking about probably the raunchiest thing we can possibly come up with in the last, I don't know, month at this point. Because we talked about this in private before you went on vacation. The story about, I think it was a person in their legal department or something for Koei Tecmo talking about how, they're trying to be a little more litigious with a lot of the characters in the Dead or Alive series, especially when it comes to things like doujinshi, which is basically like pornographic manga, and other fan art and stuff that's of that kind of nature. And the words were used well, we look at them like they're our daughters sort of deal. Now, that can be taken already in a very strange way because, well, as we know, Dead or Alive is the titty game.
It is the one.
It's not a titty game, it's the titty game.
It is.
It started with the jiggle physics stuff.
Yeah.
Not to mention, obviously, there being 3 extreme games. I think they're doing another one that's actually going to have dating sim elements to it. So It's like, that in itself is a little strange. It could now, keep in mind, this could be a translation thing in terms of Japanese to English. It may mean something differently. So, this isn't necessarily us saying for certain that Koei Tecmo doesn't want you to lewd their daughters because that's their job, is to lewd their daughters. We're not saying that. But it's funny in translation, whether it's true or not, to say that that's what's happening.
After you mentioned the dating sim, all I saw was Dead or Alive, Date My Daughter or something like that. It's just what started going through my head.
We already
and I'm
solved
there's
this.
So many D's in that name.
We already solved this. There is a game on Steam right now called Dream Daddy. It's already too late. It's too late. True. We can't put things back in the box. It's just you can't do it anymore. So, we're not going to sit here and riff on Koei Tecmo for 20 minutes. It was just a funny story to kick off what is a conversation that I think, honestly, needs to happen once in a while, which is, hey, isn't it really funny when companies lewd the fuck out of their characters and they get mad when people do it?
Yeah, what did you think was gonna happen? Maybe back then, because modding wasn't a huge scene on consoles.
Oh my god! With the amount of ways that people can pull assets now and have made not only GIFs but full on videos. Some of them there are 10+ minute videos with either voice acting, stories. We've gone further beyond than just, somebody drawing a really bad version of Tifa with double Z cups,
Yeah. The thing is, this goes back to the 90s. Remember Nude Raider? Tomb Raider came out and there was that Nude Raider site that had mods or something. And it was all this cheat code will make Lara naked or whatever. I don't know. But it was already showing what gamers are willing to do as soon as textures became 3D. I'm sure there was stuff even with pixel art, but 3D mods were starting even back then. So if you're going to make the Dead or Alive games and you're going to basically be the creators of jiggle physics, I think, you have to know it's going to happen. You have to. And also, why are you upset? It's not like they're stealing DLC that you're selling. Why do you care?
I know, because I read a little bit up on it. There are cases where people were using assets of characters that hadn't been released yet. So that's
okay.
That's one thing. But when you see that they've taken down I think the number was 200 to 300 doujinshi out there, which is guys, what do you expect?
Yeah,
it's a series about a ton of big titty women that go to the beach and show off their melons to everybody while also chasing a watermelon to beat it with a stick. Because that's apparently what you do in Japan, is you try to, blindfoldedly cut down a watermelon with a stick, even though you're most likely just going to crush it. Every time I see that in anime, my first thought is, if you hit it hard enough, it's not going to split perfectly. If anything, you're just going to create a fucking mesh. And also, sand's going to get in that.
Yeah, you can't eat it when it's done. That's over.
I don't know, maybe sandy watermelon is a delicacy in Japan. I don't know.
You could be right. You could be right.
But no, like
But
like I remember it being a thing in the early stages of Overwatch, Chris, where like in very early on they're like, man, there's a lot of art that's being done. We're not sure how we feel about this. It's like, guys, you put a bunch of women in skin tight outfits and like Tracer, Widowmaker, and Diva. Guys.
yeah. Yeah.
Like it's at the point that whenever a company gets just surprised by this, I almost want to go, especially now, it's like, guys, it's 2025. We've been doing this since about 1996.
Yeah, because
like,
I think even with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they put out like a please do not. We appreciate the modding community, but please do not do nude mods or something.
They might as well have just put a neon sign and just said, make a nude mod today, because that's literally what people looked at when they saw that message. It's the first thing I thought. I'm sure you thought the same thing. It's like, so it's good. There's going to be one in a week.
Yeah. I was like, I've never tried modding before where I create my own, but I think today might be the day just for Square Enix.
Let me see. It's been a little bit of time now. Has there been one on Rebirth yet? That's the question.
Oh, there's 100% there is.
Remake does. Like, obviously, Remake has a ton of them.
Yeah.
But is there a new one yet in Rebirth? That's the question, because that can still take some time.
Yes, because it is new.
There's been recolors and stuff, but like I haven't seen. I know I showed the picture in one of our other Discords of somebody who had modded the Tifa shirt to just have the Nvidia logo on the front.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I can imagine those kind of mods are quicker, a lot easier to do, and people are just gonna do it right away because of course they would. Why wouldn't you put fun images on the clothing of the characters or whatever?
So it doesn't look like anyone's gotten really nudie yet, so it looks like it's still in progress, in the same way that I hope that, like, and this is me looting out for a second here, I hope that somebody makes better bikini outfits for the characters, because I fucking can't stand the swimsuits in that game.
Yeah, they were dumb. I don't understand.
They didn't try. What was chosen. They didn't even try.
No, somebody's gonna try.
Cloud got the best one, and that's because he was the only person that showed really remotely any skin.
Yeah, yeah. I actually
which also,
his bathing suit.
I'm an equal opportunity guy. I want somebody to Speedo the fuck out of Cloud in that outfit too.
Yeah.
Before you get in the comments and go, oh, you just want to see a bunch of tits and ass. I'm like, yes, but also I want that package.
Yeah, it's all about the equal opportunity. And speaking of that, Barrett needs something other than his sailor suit. I love his sailor suit.
Okay,
give the
it's
man
funny.
A bathing
he's
suit.
gonna get that. He's gonna get some. Like there's gonna be a costume like outfit where they're gonna have the girls in like the biggest like booty ass like thong bikinis right next to Barrett, who's gonna be obviously full package in a Speedo as well. But the bikinis on the girl side is gonna have like blacked on it or something, Because again, people can't help themselves.
Yeah, people can't help themselves. Or maybe there's no nude mods for it yet because Square Enix asked so nicely for people to not, and everybody was like, okay.
I'm surprised, honestly, it hasn't been done quicker, because you'd think that some of the assets would be easy to port over from Rebirth already.
From Remake,
but then again, from Remake. I don't pretend to know how modding works, though, so I'm just I'm gonna sit here and be like, look, I'll just wait and see what you guys do, because I want to see some cool shit.
Oh yeah, I definitely plan on picking up the Final Fantasy games for mods and stuff like that for sure, because there's so much cool stuff that can be done with the games. There is
a beauty to going back and replaying a game and just modding the fuck out of it, just to break it apart.
Yeah, yeah. And if everybody's worried about like Rebirth and everything, and Dead or Alive and everything, Stellar Blade is apparently coming to PC. So good luck, also right there, because like. That game was already pushing its own mods, basically, as far as they could.
Was it Stellar Blade or Nier when who the guy said, like, look, I just like beautiful women, like, in sex, like, so that's what I did.
I think that was Nier. I think that was the developer of Nier, yeah.
And it's like, look, I get that, like, you obviously, want to be protective of your intellectual property. I know in the case of the Overwatch devs, like, they didn't make these characters with the intent of them being like sex gods, because that's what a lot of them have become over the last like few years.
Yeah.
But like the thing with and I've had this conversation with people before where, especially when it comes to, because women obviously are far more sexualized as a whole, because men being sexualized per se isn't really like a common thing in the way that our media works. Obviously in Japanese culture, there's way more of the the femboy aesthetic, or the guys in like like say, well, even Yakuza, with the way that they go out of their way to make sure the guys are shirtless as much as possible too. But like here in the West, we don't really sexualize men that much in comparison. Like
Yeah.
Like realistically speaking, like when we think of sexualization in Bond movies, it's always towards the women, except for like the one time that Daniel Craig had like the short shorts, which was such a rarity at the time too.
Very rarity, yeah.
So like here, a lot of what gets made, like obviously people will sexualize whatever they're into anyway, but like generally speaking, a lot of media here in the West, like for men, it's very like meh. Like there's not a lot to work with. Whereas with women, like let's be honest, the average guy, like even if you have a girl in jeans and a tank top, like that's enough. Like that's enough for us to be like, yeah, we need to make a ton of art on this.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, guys, we just don't have the looks. We just don't have the appeal.
Well, and especially too, like
much.
It's getting better. Like as somebody who does look for fan art on different characters, whether it's male, female, or transgender, or wherever in between. It used to be really, really hard to find high quality art of anything that wasn't female. So now that obviously femboys are being more common, transgender people are becoming more common, and even now like yaoi and more gay themed art is becoming way more normal. So you're starting to see more and more. And especially, like, I know people get really uppity about AI generated art, but AI art is actually helping a lot in terms of the gay community, in terms of having high quality art, because straight up, it's still really hard to find high quality gay art out there, because a lot of gay art, honestly, and it's kind of something that I don't like, a lot of it is just hyper size. Like it's just really big muscly dudes and like fucking like 2 foot long dicks. Just what a lot of people tend to do when they draw stuff, where it's just like, what's the biggest giant horse cock I can throw on screen here? That's their honest job. Whereas with women, like you can get anything you want out of it. Like if you want just your petites, you got that. You want the big titty girls, you got that. If you want hyper muscular girls, that's there too now. Like with guys, it's way different. So like Dead or Alive being the prime example, it's not going to be as common to see, I don't know, like Hayabusa or Base or Zack to get a ton of art of them. But people are spending day in, day out going after Kasumi, Ayane, Helena, et cetera there, because, you can easily throw that together. And not to mention the games, they already give that to you because they have literal volleyball games that are devoted to these girls in like 70 different bikinis. Whereas, look, if there was an extreme like gay edition and it's just every guy in a fucking Speedo, or like the fucking Borat like bikini or whatever the fuck that thing was.
It's a Borat. Yeah.
So like there would be other opportunity for that, but it doesn't. So naturally people will go in the direction where the assets already exist.
Yeah, I've got to imagine when I do not know how to code. I do not know how to mod, nothing like that. Like creating mods. I know how to apply them, obviously, but to actually create them, I don't. And I can imagine that if you take the Dead or Alive characters and you take the girls from the volleyball edition, I can't remember what Extreme. Is that what's those? Yeah. If you take that, the assets are like 87% done for you because they're already wearing so little. So the few changes you need to make, I have to imagine, is a lot easier than if you take like a male character, especially in traditional Japanese games, where it's just they're covered in so many clothes and so many different belts all over their body, not just the one around their waist. There's belts everywhere. Like there's just so many clothes. So it must be a lot more difficult to mod, I would assume.
Well, and not to mention too, like if we're talking a nude mod in general, if you want to take somebody from, let's say, obviously Dead or Alive, but like if you really want to go a little bit heavier with it, let's say Rebirth, right? So let's say somebody wants to do something with Aerith. You can put together like the model from you can just take that, and it's a lot easier to slowly peel off layers and just recolor everything in skin tone, because once you have it here or here, like wherever there is open skin, you just slowly clone that along. And it won't. It'll take time, but it won't take long once you get a pattern going. And then realistically, if we were talking like Dead or Alive with bikinis, it's not that difficult to remove a few lines from the straps and then put a nipple here and here. And then for the bottoms, obviously, again, you're not changing nearly that much.
Yeah.
But with a guy, you're talking, like you said, like there's so much more. Like, sure, most guys when they go to the beach are going to be topless shorts, but we're talking about adding full on genitals, which don't exist. Because, like, essentially, most characters are basically just Barbie and Ken dolls. So,
Yeah.
it's way easier to put female genitalia in a mod over top of something because you're really just drawing a few extra lines here and there. It's not nearly as complicated as putting on male genitalia, which is now putting a whole extra layer on top of that. Not to mention, if you really want to get technical, animations. Otherwise, it's going to look really weird if you just have a either flaccid or rock hard dick that's not doing anything. And it just looks like, Cloud's hair, which also doesn't move.
Yeah.
So, like, there's so much more to it than that. So, obviously, the effort level is different between the two as well.
Yeah. I
mean, like, where's that Koei Tecmo? Where's the package, jiggle physics?
Yeah, somebody figured it out for Resident Evil 2 because they've got Mr. X in like an aggressive thong chasing you, which just makes it more scary.
Not too long ago, put up a picture of like Leon Kennedy in like like some cross-dressing thing, and I'm like, bro, that's not even the most attractive man in RE2, and I put a picture of like the thong mod of Mr. X. I'm like, come on, man.
They modded the hell out of Mr. X. That poor whatever the hell he is. They turned him into Thomas the Tank Engine. You want to talk about something
that people have looted to hell. A lot. Every Resident Evil character has gotten fucked by that guy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They saw the opportunity and said, "Oh look, here's like a 10-foot tall thing. Well, surely we can now put this 2-foot dick on it and just have it go absolutely nuts." And that's how it works.
Still better than the Thomas the Tank Engine mod.
Oh,
still better.
Well, yeah, for you especially.
It's terrifying. Shouldn't be that scary.
So I guess to bring it all back, because I think we've talked about dicks a little too much for one side quest here. So I guess the inevitable question is like, what's the line for companies when they want to say, please don't loot our material? Because to me, I'm obviously the person that's like, I don't know if there necessarily is a line outside of obviously underage stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But like, of any game, like, let's say, I don't know, like, I just played Metaphor not too long ago. Like, if somebody wanted to loot Katarina or Hulkenberg, like, some of the characters there, should Atlas suddenly go out and say, no, don't do that? To which I go, no, unless they're charging for it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it comes to. It's like, one, keep it the same as other adult entertainment, consensual stuff, of age stuff, obviously. And number 3, don't charge for it because it isn't your property. Fan art is one thing, but fan trying to make a profit is completely different. Same as like you'd mentioned,
because there's a difference too with doing commissions for art because it's you drawing the entire thing from scratch, whereas modding is essentially adding on to something that's pre-made that you didn't make. So
yes, yeah, 100%. Art is art. If it's an actual drawing and you're selling a drawing, that's something you did. You can do that all you want, 100%.
Yeah, like the whole thing of like Koei Tecmo taking down like asking for fan art or Doujinshi to be taken down is to me where the line's like, no, like this is fully being done from scratch by somebody. Yeah, they may be using your property and yeah, they may be charging for it, but this is something that they made from scratch. I think you have more of a case for that than say someone who would be charging, like obviously this isn't really something that happens, but like charging for modding, I don't know, like Persona 5 Royal and making Tei Takemi, the fucking sexy ass punk nurse, into, like a nude mod. Like that's different.
Yeah, because then you're trying to profit, and even though the mod does take effort, it's still not your game. So you can't kind of attach your own DLC kind of idea. But yeah, no, hand-drawn art or paint or anything along those lines. No, that's something you create that you should be able to do that and charge it and all that kind of stuff. The only other thing I'd say is you'd mentioned like some characters or they found some code in the games and it hadn't been released yet and people were like doing mods and stuff for that. No, you can't. Don't do that. It's not released yet. You're ruining the actual gaming experience even that way. Even who cares about the company behind it, the developers? You could be actually ruining that for experience for people if you start data mining and finding stuff that might be a surprise for later on and stuff like that. So I think that's another thing to keep in mind. Tifa being in Rebirth, we all know she's there. There is no secret. Mod the NVIDIA shirt on her all you want. Go ahead.
My only request is, hey, if you're gonna put something in there, you know, do some extra work, do some fun stuff for the guys too. That's my biggest complaint is that I just feel like there needs to be a little more fair attention. But I know the reasons why. Like obviously, this is a much more male dominated field, so naturally there's gonna be way more towards the female persuasion because, well, more people often more than not are gonna be straight rather than gay or even bisexual at that point. So, you know, I just hope it gets to a point where it starts being more and more on each side. But that would also require us to now allow more women into the fold, which is a conversation all in itself at that point. So,
yeah, that's another side quest for sure.
but mostly, Koei Tecmo, you made a game that's literally about butts and boobs. So what do you think's going to happen? You're going to get lots of people creating things that are just about the butts and the boobs.
Yeah, that's your
you made
fault.
Your bed.
You did it.
Now lie in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's going to do it for this sexually charged episode of PixelPlay Sidequests. Ooh, I might need a cigarette after this. But if you guys need a cigarette, well, before you go and do that, make sure you like and subscribe. Obviously, main show on Wednesdays. You got this here every Friday. We will see you, obviously, on the next show, wherever that may be. I don't know if we're going to have a full lineup for that, but we shall see. But alas, take care. Bye-bye for now.